Today, I'm going to talk about the 5 best ways to make money as a solo player in GTA Online. Coming in at number 5 is the Nightclub, and this is probably the best partially passive business in the entire game. You can pick up a nightclub off the Maze Bank Foreclosures website, and I do suggest getting one in the city as it will make your money making a lot easier. Now there's 2 ways to make money with the nightclub, with the first one being the wall safe, and the way it works is depending on how much nightclub popularity you have, a certain amount of money will be deposited into the wall safe every in-game day or 48 minutes. The max you could get is 50k for maxed out nightclub popularity, and it slowly goes down from there the less popularity you have. There are many different ways to increase the popularity of your nightclub, but the 2 best ways is 1, throwing out disturbances in the nightclub. You'll see those by little blue blips on your minimap, and then 2, switching DJs. Every time you switch, it will cost money, but it will increase your nightclub popularity. Also, if you get the security upgrade for the nightclub, it will slow down the rate at which your popularity decreases in the nightclub. So that's the first way to make money. The second way is through the nightclub warehouse in the basement. Now the way it works is you can assign up to 5 different technicians to source 5 different types of product in the nightclub. Once they source that product, you can then sell it all on for a profit. All of the sourcing happens in the background, so all you have to do is assign a technician to the product, and then they will do all the work for you, just so long as you're in an online session. Now, like I said, there are 5 different technicians you could hire and assign, and there are 7 different types of product you could assign them to. But out of the 7, there are 5 that make you the most amount of money. The only catch is in order to assign a technician to a certain type of product, you have to own a corresponding business in the game. So with that being said, here are the 5 types of product and the businesses you need to own. First is cargo and shipments. You need to have a CEO warehouse or a hangar in order to assign a technician to it. The second one is sporting goods. You need to have a bunker for that. Third is South American imports, which requires you to have a Coca-Cola lockup. Fourth is pharmaceutical research, which requires you to have a blue stuff lab. And then 5th is cash creation, which requires you to have a counterfeit cash factory. If you hire all 5 technicians and assign them to those 5 products, they will source you $50,000 worth of goods to sell every single hour, if you also have the equipment upgrade. So in total, the nightclub can earn you up to $100,000 per hour, which is great considering you barely have to do any work. Of course, the main downside and why it's in number 5 though, is because you have to have tons of money to start up the business. I mean, it's probably $10 million plus. And that's precisely why the Acid Lab is in the number 4 spot. It's another partially passive business, a great business for beginners, and you could get it for essentially free. In order to get the Acid Lab, you do have to complete the 6 first dose missions. Each will pay out 50 to 250 grand, which is great. And once that's all said and done, you can then go and buy it at the Freak Shop for 750k. Now, in order to make the most amount of money with the business, you also have to get the equipment upgrade. And in order to do that, you have to do 10 Fooligan missions, which unlock after completing the first dose mission. Now, the way the business works is you purchase supplies. Those supplies then get turned into product at your business, which you could later on sell for a profit. One batch of supplies will cost $60,000, and it will take about 2.5 hours to fully turn into product. Now, the best way to make money is to buy 1.6 batches of supplies that will fully fill up the Acid Lab, and then from there you could sell that product in a public lobby with 25 or more people and earn $500,000, meaning with everything said and done, including the cost of supplies, you're earning around $100,000 per hour, and your only real work is buying supplies and selling it in a public lobby. Now, luckily, you're guaranteed 1 sell vehicle just like the nightclub, so the sell missions are fairly easy and very doable. And if you ever are worried about selling in a public lobby, make sure to use Ghost Organization. It takes you and your product off the radar for 3 minutes. Now, this business is in the number 4 spot because it does take time to build up the product in the Acid Lab and to sell it, but it does deserve a top 5 place because you could get the business for essentially free, and it's a great business to have whether you're a beginner or a veteran. In the number 3 spot, we have the Hangar. Once again, you could pick one up from the Maze Bank Foreclosures website, and I do suggest going with one of the ones in Fort Zancudo. Now, the way the business works is you do source missions where you go out, you steal crates, you bring them back to the business, and then you could sell them for a profit. The warehouse has a max capacity of 50 crates, and there are 2 different types of source missions. You have land and air, and I always suggest going with only land because they are considerably easier and faster. You could do them in about 3 to 5 minutes. Once you get the hang of it, and if you have an aerial vehicle like a Sparrow, Oppressor, or Raiju. Each crate that you source by itself can be sold for $30,000, but there is a bonus for collecting certain amounts of each type of crate. Now, as you can see here, the highest bonus you could get is 70% for selling 50 crates of medical supplies, chemicals, or narcotics. But there is a faster and better way to make money with the business because there is a cooldown after each source mission. So the best way to do the business is to source 2 of the 3 medical supplies, chemicals, or narcotics, and keep sourcing them until you have 25 of each. That way you could skip the cooldowns and you're going to get the max bonus for 25 crates of each. Once you do that, you could then sell them separately and get the 35% bonus on each sale. And make sure when you're selling, always do land sell missions as they are faster and a lot easier. Once again, if you sell in a public lobby with 25 or more people, with those 2 sell missions combined, you could make up to 750k an hour with this method. Now, while that is an insane amount of money, and it's actually more than one of the money methods in the top 2, because there is a pretty big barrier to entry, which is buying expensive aerial vehicles, it does keep the business back from being in the top 2. Similar to the nightclub, once you have things set up, you can make tons of money very easily, but the initial setup cost is pretty high. So with that being said, let's get into the top 2. Now, I think the top 2 can actually be interchangeable depending on how much time you have to play the game and what kind of things you like to do in the game. But for the sake of the list, I'm going to give set positions. So in number 2, I have the Cayo Perico Heist, and this might surprise some of you because for a few years now, the Cayo Perico Heist has been the best way to make money in the game, but it recently got a nerf, and I'll explain why it's dropped down to number 2. But first, you have to get the Kasaka Submarine, which costs 2.2 million. Once you've done that, you could then do the heist. Now, the way the heist works is you essentially sneak onto a private island, the island of Cayo Perico, and you take loot from around the island and the primary loot inside a compound, and if you could escape successfully, you will earn a lot of money. Now, previously, you can earn $1.3 to $1.5 million per heist, and the heist takes usually about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how many times you've done it, how used to it you are. But since the nerf, you could now make 1.5 million now and then, but you're usually going to be making $900,000 to $1 million. They changed how much the loots are worth. Now, while making $900,000 to $1 million in about an hour's worth of time is great money, if you're a solo player, you're then going to have to wait 2.5 hours until you could do the heist again. And that's why I think this could be interchangeable with number 1 on the list. If you only have an hour or let's say an hour and a half to play the game, this is by far the best way to make money still. But because of the cooldown and because of the nerf of the payouts, I just feel that the thing that takes the number 1 spot is just a bit better now. Now, before we move on to the number 1 spot, if you need help with the Cayo Perico Heist, I will leave a link to my guide in the description down below. And with that being said, in the number 1 spot, we have the agency / the Dr. Dre Contract. The Dre Contract is the main way to make money, but the agency as a whole is an incredible business. Now, the cheapest agency you could get goes for just over $2 million, and I don't think location matters much for the business, so pick whatever location you'd like. But the reason why the business is so good is because there's 4 ways to make money. The first is through security contracts. They are simple jobs. You can get them done in 5 to 10 minutes, and they pay out 30 to 60k. But there is something cool with the security contracts because for every one that you complete, $100 will be deposited into your nightclub wall safe every in-game day, and that stacks. So let's say you complete 100 security contracts, you will then get $10,000 deposited into your wall safe every in-game day or 48 minutes. Now, it does cap out at 20k, but that's just another cool way to make money with the business. Also, once you complete 3 security contracts, you then unlock payphone hits, which are simple assassination missions, where if you complete the assassination and a specific challenge, you can earn $85,000 in about 5 minutes of work. Now, there is a 48-minute cooldown, but it's one of the fastest ways to make quick cash in the entire game. And of course, the 4th and final way to make money is with the Dr. Dre Contract. It's essentially a large heist. You have 3 sections or 3 mini heists and then 2 finale missions. At the end of it, you get paid $1 million. It's a great time, a lot of fun to do, and it only takes about an hour and a half to complete once you get the hang of it. Once again, I'll leave a link to my guide for the Dr. Dre Contract in the description down below, but if you combine the Dr. Dre Contract with payphone hits, with security contracts and making money from the wall safe, you could make $800,000 to $900,000 per hour. Now, the best thing about it as well is the Dr. Dre contract only has a 48-minute cooldown before you could do it again. So you could do this on repeat fairly often. And that is why the agency and the Dr. Dre contract are now number one. But like I said, depending on how much time you have to play the game or what you like to do in game, the agency and the Cayo Perico heist are fairly interchangeable. But with that being said, those are the top 5 ways to make money solo in GTA Online. If you disagree or agree with anything, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.